Well, I don't really know what happened, and I'm not overly concerned about it. I mean, it would be an outrage if it was faked, but I'm not convinced one way or another. I'm reserving my judgment on that one. I think probably like most things, it's not an either or. It's probably much deeper and a lot more things outside of our range of knowing probably happened. But anyway, the point of this whole idea is that we watched a video. Now we've watched videos, pros and cons, on did they land, didn't they land? There's a lot of refuting now going on, and one of the videos that refuted the conspiracy claim that it didn't happen was, I mean, it should be shown as a classical way to manipulate the feelings of the American people, custom made for the Americans. Okay, so, and it starts off with, the fact that some people, think this didn't happen, and, can you imagine what the conspiracy would be? How could the people keep secrets and all the other things? But the main characters in there that were talking about the conspiracy theory from the conspiracy side were both engineers. I mean, they were educated men, but they had retired. And they retired, they were doing something. I think one guy in the middle of the Nevada desert had a feral cat shelter or something. And, they talked to him. He was totally a credible engineer, but I think that the American public would view that person as not successful. And successful is what perks people's ears up. I mean, how many times have you heard, Ted Turner said da-da-da-da-da-da, and even though it was a moronic statement, Ted Turner said it, it becomes really big. Well, they did the reverse to these two experts. The one guy was obviously retired in Florida and sitting in a sun lanai or something like that. Both were dressed in very casual clothes. The guy with the cat shelter in the middle of the Arizona desert, or the Nevada desert, I can't even remember. He was sitting on one of those woven plastic chairs.
Oh, just a lawn chair, right?
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. So the guys during this video, they made a screen set to try to mock up the screen set that was made supposedly by Stanley Kubrick to film Astronauts on the Moon. They did it outside, which, kind of blew it for me because I knew that if they're trying to replicate what Kubrick did, it has to be inside. But they had a really great representative from the regular, normal, consensual reality side. He seemed to be an expert on all things physical, including cameras, and was presenting evidence for the fact that this couldn't have been fake. And he was very credible, and he spoke in the kind of a tone. It was relaxed, it was calm, but he would use.
Oh, that's the NPR voice.
Yeah, but he'd throw in a big word every once in a while, and
mm-hmm.
I mean, it was really totally purple pill.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, let's look at the conspiracy theory, and let's find out how actually full of shit it actually is. So it came off as a purple pill.
Right. Well, it actually starts to become far more fascinating when you begin to learn the techniques that are used to manipulate public opinion. Because then when you watch stuff, you have a little more of a discerning eye, too, about what's disinformation and what's credible, what's real information. Right. And the tactics that they use to manipulate how it's perceived.
Right. They use voices. On TV, they use sigil magic. They circle things and move you in and out of numbers. Use certain words because, of course, words are spelled and spells cast. And on and on. Yeah. We can get into.
Right.
They're really good at this.
No, but I think back to the point of the purple pill is that it's a whole new technique of manipulating, bringing what used to be taboo out into the arena where it can be discussed, but it's manipulated to be discussed in a way that sways people towards, where they want to.
Or at least declawse the topic.
Yeah.
It's what's another one? Fluoride in the water. Now, God, there's Harvard studies about the harmfulness of fluoride in the water. I mean, it's a toxic chemical. It's a scrap chemical. It's a byproduct.
It's rat poison, isn't it?
It's a rat poison. So it's an outrage that it's in the water. They use the Nazi Germany. Anyway, I could go on and on, but until they take it out of the water, I don't want to discuss it. I want them to take it out of the water. I'm not going to be purple pilled into it. But anyway, what brought this all to mind? About a month ago, there were a couple big changes in the alternative media. And I'm going to talk about Arianna Huffington and the Huffington Post. This started out as an alternative media, another way to get information, and she quickly, I think, got totally corrupted by the mainstream. I mean, she was pretty much towing the party line at the end, and then of course there's scandals revolving around her paying her reporters and on and such and such. But the news is that her and Nicholas Bergeron, the famous homeless billionaire, have gotten together, and they're going to start a new media outlet, a new alternative outlet for themselves. I think it's called the Post. Yeah, it's called the World Post News website. Now, if you're going to get people that are interested in topics that are threatening, outrageous, outside the mainstream of thought, and they're going to go to one of these websites that's run by this one, is run by Arianna Huffington, who has not shown that she's very outraged at much that's going on. And Nicholas Bergeron, now this guy is a real elitist. He's actually started a thing called Institute on Governments, and this organization is dedicated to solving the problems of globalization in the 21st century. So he's actually working ahead of the curve. He's beyond orchestrating us into globalization. This institute's dedicated to the problems that are going to rise when we control the world, I guess. So you've got that guy in Huffington, and I think you're going to see purple pill strategies come out of that. I think you're going to see far out topics discussed. What's a far out topic nowadays? I don't know, UFOs, chemtrailing, the fracking. It'll be the fracking debate. And it'll be, I think, very much controlled by this purple pill media that's coming up. Not that all media doesn't use purple pill, it's all mainstream media, but I think these will be, they'll be like mosquito traps for the seeking mind. Now let's talk about GMOs. Let's talk about it. And us guys who really look around for alternative points of view and differing viewpoints might be really attracted to this, and I really want to stay in others. By the way, there was another one that happened. It's just the same. I remember Glenn Greenwald. Now, Glenn Greenwald, if you don't know, was the journalist who got with Edward Snowden and was going to release for Edward Snowden the NSA tapes and how deep that scandal went. Well, now, Greenwald has appeared after that as very much a free journalist, man of the people, defending the right of journalists to release this type of information. But, my opinion of him seems to be modified a little bit as we go down through history. The Snowden scandal happened over a year ago, and less than 1% of the information, or around 1% of the information, has thus far been released by Greenwald. Now, I guess he's waiting for. Well, I know one of the things. He got a big book deal, and I'm sure that some of the rest of Snowden's issues with spying is going to come out in this text. But then comes along another wrinkle. There's another billionaire with a B called Pierre Omidyar. And then Pierre Omidyar just happens to be the owner of PayPal Corporation. Now, Pierre signed a contract with Greenwald to set him up with his own media company. I mean, he could leave the Guardian now and be on his own, and gives him a minor pittance of $250 million to start this media.
To start the new media.
Now, that seems really relevant to me right now because I just watched David Icke start an international 24-hour-a-day channel devoted to people's issues and exposing those issues. He started this whole thing off with donations of £300,000. His operation is functional. It's under constant attack by the mainstream, of course. He's being able to sell advertising, and he's doing a wonderful job for the red pill, for the red media, getting things out in the open. So Pierre Omidyar gives $250 million to Greenwald to start this off. I think it's probably more than he needs to get it off the ground. I don't know. I just guess, knowing what I know about the People's Voice. So here we have this major amount of money going to Greenwald, and Greenwald has all the Snowden documents. And in the Snowden documents, certainly PayPal was implicated, because PayPal was certainly cooperating with NASA in spying.
NSA?
Yeah. So I think what Omidyar did was he got himself off the hook with, Greenwald exposing anything that he might not want to hear in the media, because Greenwald can just sit on it.
Right. It's nothing like a little extra money to help you decide what you're going to reveal and what you're not going to.
Right, exactly. And it's your partner.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, by the way, Omidyar, he's something like the managing editor of the other World Post News. Oh, the other one.
So they're both involved.
So we're all in bed together. We're all starting this new alternative media, so that we can get some alternative viewpoints. And
sure. I mean, what is there, like 6 owners of all the media outlets in the mainstream media?
There's 4 now.
Well, so now, of course, they want to go for the alternative outlets,
so, yeah,
right?
The alternative. You can't shut down the mainstream. You go for the alternative media. And we have 2 birthings right there.